Always welcome. Joseph Wingbro here today from the streets of Santo Domingo. Here we are underneath the entrance to the old city. I've got a selfie stick out today. Let's get a bit more range. And on this live, I'm going to discuss all of the ways that the Manosphere has really messed guys up in 2026, the last 5 or 6 years. I'm going to go into some of the terminology that the Manosphere uses, dissect it a little bit, and explain what I've seen of the negative impacts of this whole space. If I've got time, I'll talk about liberalism as well. The Manosphere is a response to liberalism. In fact, let me start off with liberalism. So liberalism is the post-World War II ideology of Europe and the USA. It's a specific ideology from a specific historical point in time. It claims, in a sense, it claims to be universal. This is just the way things always have been. It's the way things should always have been. And it emphasizes certain things, and one of the things that it emphasizes is equality. Equality between all people and equality between the sexes. The blank slate theory, but a really big emphasis on equality in the post-World War II environment. And there's the whole story about how women, they worked in the factories, etc., and then they became more active in employment. That's actually a bit of a myth. If you're as much of a nerd as me, you look into these things, it's actually a bit of a myth. Women were actually economically active, essentially always. It was only really the elite aristocratic women who got to be housewives, essentially. So it's kind of like it was a position of privilege. So that is a bit of a myth. But yeah, this filter of equality, and then also a lot more personal freedoms as well, moving away from religion as a way of structuring social norms. It left us in this very strange situation where the two sexes are suddenly unleashed to do whatever they want, in a sense. And when you see, obviously, behaviors show very obvious sex differences between the two, right? So men were operating under, should we say, a misconception, misreading. Hey, what's up? Ian, just let me know, is the volume okay? Is the audio okay? Thanks for joining, by the way. So in this new environment, there's been this kind of myth of equality between the sexes, and it really had effects. So I won't go into all of that now, but that's the myth that the Manosphere comes to attack. And it's correct to be attacked. It's so obviously correct that, I don't even know where to go with it. But the Manosphere kind of comes in and attacks myth. And the very early Manosphere, this may be even like the proto-Manosphere, is the book The Game by Neil Strauss. So that came out when I was around about 20 years old, so 20 years ago. And the premise of it all essentially was the old game that the boomers could use. I've got a good job, let's get married at 22. And that literally was the game. That's not a caricature, that was the game. That was the reality for most people. That paradigm had gone away, completely gone away in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And what that meant was, effectively what that meant was, you had female kind of behavior, female nature, slightly more unleashed. And so these certain group of guys, should we call them the nerds, the guys who would have gone and had stable jobs, just been stable accountants, etc. Loud and clear, good. You may hear some decent music in this live. But yeah, what basically happened was a lot of the guys who would have easily just had wives at 21, 22 because of the social structure, they were lost at sea. And then even a lot of guys in the middle were lost at sea as well. And the whole idea of game was, okay, let's start to understand female psychology and female behavior, and let's leverage that in order to seduce them. It was and remains a great principle, leveraging female psychology, female biology to seduce them. Everybody wins. They get seduced, which they love. And you get what you want, which is the attractive woman in the bedroom or in your life. And so this really was the purpose of Strauss. And then obviously Mystery was a kind of founding coach in that. So yeah, the principle of it, as I say, was and remains very good. However, there were some issues with it, and this is where it all starts, really. This is where it all starts. So yeah, in the rest of this live, I'm just going to be deconstructing some of the myths and misconceptions of this space. And yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a history, really, history of the last 20 years in the Anglo-Manosphere. So the issue, first of all, with the original game by Mystery and those guys, and RSD as well, who were an offshoot of that, it was game from the perspective of men who were much lower on the totem pole of attractiveness. As I say, guys who in previous times would have had wives just from default, but couldn't actually attract women. And so those were the people who actually were coming up with this. The guys who could just attract women anyway, it was less of an issue, right? And frankly, until the game came along, it was just kind of like, just go after women, essentially. That was with minimal thought. And then this book, The Game, came along. And I can't really describe what a sensation this book was, how much it captivated people. I mean, I remember, being 20, and everybody read the book, everybody. From the guys who were good with women, successful with women, to everybody else. It was a global bestseller. It was still slightly underground. Like a friend recommended it to me, and it would just kind of get passed around between guys, essentially. But kind of like very open secret, a bit like 50 Shades of Grey kind of thing. And so, yeah, this book comes in, and there were some interesting insights, things like the neg, which for these nerds was probably an amazing thing. It's just playfully teasing, like that's all the neg was. But they way overanalyzed it. They said you need to break down a girl's self-esteem and things like that in order to lower her to your level. Well, what does that say about how you see yourself? It says you see yourself as a fucking loser. And so, and it also, a lot of the moves in there are quite indirect, quite, playing literally. I mean, God, it's embarrassing now, but I learned to read palms because of that book, because that was something I think Strauss did in that book. I actually thought it sounded really cool, so yeah, my mum's a bit of a gypsy. I think she can read palms as well, but I learned to read palms, and it was due to that book. And it was like, yeah, you can take a girl's hand and you can touch her, and it's keno and all this. Very embarrassing to think about now, but I learned it and I did it as well. No one was, there's a lot of people who tried stuff from that book back in the day. And it actually is a book that should have only been for a small audience, which is down and out guys, possibly guys with autism, which actually is a lot of guys in the space, and that's no shade either. It's just one of those things. Asperger's as well, like one of my clients, maybe ADHD as well, I don't know. But honestly, it shouldn't have even been for most of those guys. It should have really been a complete beginner book to somebody who'd never flirted with women at all. That's really what it should have been. And it got into the hands of normal guys, and it's fucked a lot of guys up. To illustrate a story, to illustrate that, a friend of mine, an acquaintance, was a GB kickboxer doing a PhD. and he was in his mid to late 20s, about 27. And I remember being on a night out with a big group of people, and this guy came along, and one of the girls, big, I think Scottish blonde girl, but fit, like big tits. She was a bit of a babe, to be honest, in a pretty cool way. And she really liked this guy. She fancied him, and he fancied her as well. And she said to me, she was like, yeah, I'm chatting to, we'll call him Tom. I'm chatting to Tom, and he keeps doing all these weird things. He keeps playing all these silly jokes and, you know, asking me weird questions and stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's called game. Yeah. And she's like, what's that? I was like, it's just from a book. It's it's just a way to like pull women. And she was like, why does he need that? Why does he need that? And actually, I probably screwed him there. I don't know if he pulled her or not in the end, but it probably made her think, why is this guy so insecure? He needs to use these types of tactics, you know. And I understand definitely his angle. He just saw it as a way in. He just saw it as, okay, well, this is something I can do. He was a PhD student. He's obviously very logical minded. He thought, well, this is something I know how to do. I can repeat this formula and it might work. And what I didn't realize was the reason it worked was because he was a fucking good looking jacked kickboxer. Pretty much anything would have worked. But actually probably was slightly shooting himself in the foot. But yeah, those were the RSD days, you know. He almost looked like a guy from RSD, actually. He could have almost been in RSD, this guy. And I remember being out as well in that club. It's not to throw shade on this guy, because he's a fucking great guy. But I remember being out in the same club on another night, and I bumped into him again. And I was with a girl this time. I was with this girl from Valencia, just relaxing, smoking area, just chilling. And this guy came out, and we're talking and stuff. And he was I think he was with some girls or something, and he was kind of doing his thing, right? He was doing his show. And you know, we talked for a bit, and then then the girl I was with, she was like, is he gay? I was like, no, he's not gay. She's just like, he's a little bit fruity, isn't he? I was like, no, I didn't even explain it. So when you look at it from the female point of view, it doesn't make any sense, right? And it's based on a misunderstanding. It's based on, I'm not desirable, so I have to pull tricks out of the hat. Yeah, and that's where it comes from. Maybe useful for bottom tier guys, maybe, and maybe useful to get started. But that really is 1 out of 10 game. It's better than a 0. It's better than doing nothing, but it's really just 1 out of 10. Okay, so there's that whole thing, and that starts to fade away. I found personally, just my own experiences was, as I just matured and became more experienced and just continued to approach women, mostly in clubs, having girlfriends, having all sorts of things going on, I just sort of, over time, got a bit better. And also saw guys who were good as well. I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of get what these guys do. The best guys, they do very little, actually. They hardly do anything. That almost is the trick. And so yeah, just, you know, I kind of came out of that phase. Probably was about a 6-month phase of trying to use the game, doing a bit of palm reading when I was about 20. And then it kind of became, I don't know, going into normal life, having a good social life, etc. And then we've had this kind of second phase in the last, the last thing I'll say about those guys as well. The last thing I'll say about those guys, the old school game guys, is they were very indirect, and that's a very, very weak frame to come from. I'm going to take aim at the word frame as well, but it's a weak mindset to come from. Let's have a quick look at Columbus statue. Always good, the man himself. And yeah, indirect. Everything was indirect. It was all about hiding your attraction and sort of scheming on the girl, scheming your way into her graces. which can work, but it wasn't indirect in a seductive way. Like out here, the DR, flirting really is a way of life, and they don't have to really be that direct. I mean, they can be quite direct, but it's just a way of life. So, but it's not really that. It was just very scheming, indirect, right? That was what was being sold to people, and I don't think that's a good thing at all. It's encouraging permission-seeking behavior. It's encouraging you to feel repressed by what you imagine people around you are thinking, and what the girl's going to think. It's not. There is such a thing. It's like an escalation ladder where you just go up a little bit slowly. That actually does work. But I also think you should have in your locker going balls to the wall direct. And I think while you're a single guy, every so often you want to bring that out. More often than not, I would say. So if girls like you, this is it. A lot of it was loss aversion. So if you're indirect, you're probably not going to get the actual blowouts. Whereas if you are direct, you will get more blowouts, but you get more successes. So I think a lot of it was based around loss aversion and marketing as well. There was this whole indicators of interest thing. Like, okay, if a girl's interested in you, she'll do this, right? Again, that was all marketing. It was just to get guys to approach it was to get guys to buy products, essentially, that would allow them to be passive and not actually do anything. So you can just, you can get the indicators of interest and you feel like it's a done deal before you even go in. The reality is, it doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. And so, yeah, that was another thing that was being preached. You had RSD as well, who were immensely impactful in this space. They've all gone their separate ways now. And really, they were probably the first Manosphere frauds, actually. It's not that they didn't know anything, it's that they thought they knew everything, and what they knew was about, again, I'd take it to about 3 out of 10. They did promote a little bit more being direct and stuff, but it was insane, dude. They had all these massive seminars. I remember watching quite a few of them, and just like, it was an amazing marketing thing. I mean, just their media was unbelievable. But the way that company worked, and this is, I'm going to bring this round to modernity now, is they weren't really living much of a life in terms of seduction and stuff. They basically rented a big house in LA and spent all of their time going out, cutting promos, cutting some infields, but just a lot of promotional material, doing seminars, filming the seminars, and it was all just a massive marketing thing. And you know, a lot of money going into it, a lot of money coming through it as well. And when I think back to some of the footage, I remember one of them where the main guy, the guy with the beard, he was walking along the beach, and a girl, this is supposed like just casually talking, he stops a girl, like this pretty thing, just kind of walks up to them, and he stops her. She kind of, he says like, he like scoops her up, and then he says kiss, and she kisses him, like, and then she just kind of slinks off. Now, anyone who actually does approach, you know, like, that could happen, but it's a 1 in a million event, and you're not capturing it on camera in a promo. It'd be like if I did it right now on a live. That's kind of like what it was. At the time, I just thought, is he that good? He just commanded her to kiss him, I don't know. But again, with those guys, I'd sort of smelt a rat a little bit. It just didn't seem to add up. And then now there's stuff you can read about it and find out the actual details of, yeah, they use a lot of actresses. I think they did have legitimate infields though, so they weren't complete frauds. There was some legit stuff there as well. And so that was like the next incarnation. And then you get into, yeah, the kind of modern day manosphere and the red pill and the MGTOWs and all of this. And again, like, I think the heart of it is probably in the right place. It's the whole female nature trying to deconstruct what is going on in society, like how to figure these women out. But it definitely, and maybe even, I think the MGTOW stuff, I always found the MGTOW a lot more interesting, because the red pill stuff, those are just things you can read in any text from like Greece or Rome, which is just like, yeah, women are XYZ, more or less, this is kind of how they work. Obviously that's kind of hidden from men under liberalism. It really is literally hidden from them in media, in common understanding. Guys just don't get it, right? The boomers are the worst for this, man. They really don't fucking get it, because they're peak liberalism. And they never really had the incentive to change, like, yeah. So yeah, the Manosphere comes along. As I say, I always thought MGTOW were more interesting because they were basically talking more on economics. So essentially saying, like, have you actually thought about the economics of what it's going to be a, you know, a father and so on, like head of a household, which was a kind of like the old school patriarch. Have you actually thought about that? It's probably, well, you can say that the women were imprisoned in that system and so on, they were repressed. But I mean, what's more repression? Staying at home and cleaning and cooking and being with children, or going out to frankly fairly shit industrial jobs, day in, day out, grinding yourself into an early grave, which is a reality for most guys. It's not really any better, is it? So that, I think that was an interesting insight from the MGTOW guys. It's like, yeah, let's just put the brakes on this a little bit. Let's think about this. Let's get our lives set up if we want to do it. So what have we got here? We've got Alexander. Someone to oh, Alexander, how are you, mate? Is this Alexander from Montenegro? So yeah, the MGTOW were interesting, and the rest of the red pill guys all piled in, and the tone was very angry. You've got the guy who drives around in his cars being very angry. I think some very bad stuff has happened to that guy. There's just a whole host of, you know, red pill content creators, right? We know who they are. And there's so many issues with this. I'm going to break a few of them down now. The first one is, it's all done from an American perspective, which is such a warped marketplace on so many levels. It's just not representative of global dating at all. Every country and every region has its norms. Most countries are still still operating under patriarchal norms, where the women compete over beauty and the men compete over resources. That is actually true. But a lot of those content creators, they're all US based or Canada based. They're dealing with the most extreme version of this. And so you got to be careful if you're not living in those countries about how much you really read into what these guys are saying. And even in places like the US and Canada, there are still a lot of sane women. Like, they just are. Yeah, it is true that you are up against some legal issues, like genuinely like frightening legal issues. If you're, it honestly makes most sense if you're in the US. It honestly makes the most sense to select your woman based on her earning potential, due to the fact you're probably going to get divorced. So if she's a high earner, you'll take cash off her. So she'd be incentivized not to divorce you. And even if she does, she can fucking pay. It's fucked up, isn't it? That's actually how that society's gone. So you just got to be careful with those content producers. And also, when you look at the culture of advertisement and kind of fake empowerment in the US, you combine that with, it's no offense to Americans, but it's got the worst educational results in the developed world. So the people do not have much in the way of critical faculties, which I think is by design. I think they just want them being as economically productive as possible and not really thinking. You know, just make all the girls midwits. They'll be productive. They'll think they're whatever, you know, the boss bitch or whatever. So it's good for the economy, it's good for the taxes. But anyway, obviously there are lots of smart people in the US, but we're talking about the average. Okay, a lot of your culture is going to be defined by what is average in that place. You've also got the obesity. The US is a concatenation of it's a clusterfuck, because you've also got the obesity epidemic there, which is another problem. So, you know, if your only criteria for being an attractive woman is that you're not overweight, I mean, what's that doing to the marketplace? Yeah. So it's a unique situation. It is uniquely bad, I have to be honest. You can still succeed there, because I know guys who are succeeding there, dating American girls and dating foreign girls. But you have to have your wits about you in the US. So yeah, but that culture does not really apply overseas. So a lot of this stuff just doesn't apply in other countries. You know, a lot of this red pill stuff, I think fundamentally it gets guys very angry. It gets guys very angry instead of actually enjoying their lives. So I see women as the enemy, which it's not really that helpful, is it? So let's just go through. I'll keep walking. We're doing a bit of tourism around Santo Domingo here. It's Christopher Columbus's house over there in the background. But yeah, let's just go through a few of the things, like from the Manosphere, like actual false understandings from the Manosphere itself. So the first one is this. Well, we'll start off with the most modern one, which is the looks-maxing shit. The looks-maxing spurgaloids. Obviously led by the man himself. He had a guy who chiseled his own head away into the gig, made himself. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it, until someone made themselves a Giga Chad. And whatever it is, like, I mean, do you know how much invasive those surgeries are? You're talking about literally, to do surgery on your maxilla like there, and then on your jaw as well, you literally have to saw your head in half. This is ridiculously invasive surgery that these guys are doing. I always wonder what happens if you get punched as well after a surgery like that. Like, does your whole skull just shatter? Like, because it's not going to be the same, is it, afterwards? So yeah, so these looks-maxing guys, like breaking their jaws and stuff and their faces up. And there may be a case for that if you're like Quasimodo level looks. Like, I was thinking about this, what is the case for the looks-maxers? There is a case for it if you're Quasimodo. I'm talking deformed, right? There's a case for it. And it also may be the case that when he looks at a girl, like, because he's got this different face, right? All these guys, there's quite a few guys start to do it. Maybe that initial impact is more striking, right? Maybe. That is kind of what looks are. But that initial impact doesn't last for very long. It lasts for like 10 seconds, right? 20 seconds, a few minutes, right? You can just as easily generate that with piercing eye contact and just being in good shape. It's going to be too noisy here, isn't it? You can just as easily generate that with other factors. And then secondly, you don't even need to generate that. You don't even need to be the looks guy. Yeah. If women are much or are also motivated by status, they're also motivated by, I would say, mostly social skills, sexuality, the guy who gets it. In fact, those last three, that's about 80% of it. It's sexuality and being the guy who just gets it, right? Because if you're the guy who gets it, they can be themselves. With a lot of guys, like women are basically acting because they know that the guy doesn't really get it and they feel a bit like they have to put on an act. So if you're the guy who gets it, you've got good social skills, you've got good confidence, you got a little bit of, well, you're able to be yourself in front of women, basically. You're able to accept whatever comes, positive, negatives, and maybe refine your approach as time goes on. That's going to get you much further than just being a fucking looks-maxing spurg. It just is. It really is. Apparently that guy doesn't, he barely even likes sex. So only even approaches women for validation. So it's all about, could I get that girl? It's not about, did I actually have her? Very different mindset to, to me, really. It's really not about that at all. It's really about, like, enjoying your life. So the looks maxing bros, they're obviously very lost. It's a pretty tragic situation, and that's really gone all the way down as well. Part of that is Andrew Tate as well. Again, Tate is a reaction against liberalism. The absolutely intolerable 2010s, where we're pretending that, you know, chicks with dicks are women. All of that bullshit, right? He was an internet entrepreneur who leveraged that as part of his message. But a lot of what he was talking about was how sexy he was, how tall he was, how he was a kickboxing world champion and he was a millionaire. So the whole money looks status thing, it all just kind of corrupted guys' minds. So I think the under 30s, if you're under 30 watching this, unfortunately, the level of brainwashing you've been subjected to is historically unique, actually. Guys breaking up their faces, guys thinking it's all over because they're like 5'10". Fucking embarrassing, dude. Embarrassing. Really embarrassing. And you will notice with a guy like Tate, he doesn't say, oh, you have to have, like, so I'm a bald guy. He doesn't say, oh, it's all about how long and lustrous and beautiful your hair is. No, he doesn't say, I don't know, it's all about how many languages you speak or something like that. He only references things that highlight his strong points or points. It basically references himself, right? He doesn't reference the fact, I mean, in terms of like the jaw maxing stuff, the guy almost has like a deformity on it. His jaw is like pretty much, it's quite weird shape, his face actually. It's kind of earthworm Jim looking. So he only references like the stuff that makes him look really good, essentially. And you have to talk about him because he is the cultural phenomenon of the last like 5-6 years, for sure. But all of this stuff, it kind of gets guys defeated before they've started, really. Instead of just giving an actual realistic message of, first of all, start approaching and start working on your social skills. That is actually number one, to be honest. It really is number one. And I would say, I would actually put even physique, I would put that below social skills. Because there's plenty of guys with physiques who don't do much. They're really, obviously you want both, right? But I would go with social first. And confidence first. And then, the other stuff, the add-ons, you know, they just boost you, essentially. What a fucked up, scenario. Yeah, I got measured the other day. I'm 5'8", which is, I was an inch taller than I thought. So does that mean I'm not relatable anymore? I'm too tall. I'm too lanky. It's all right that I can get numbers in cold approach. I can close Miss Universe in cold approach. I can, I don't know, I mean, you can see quite a bit on this channel. I'm 40, I'm pulling like 18-year-olds, right? And the main reason for that success, on my end, is mostly just because I'm active, I'm actually doing stuff. And it's the same for all guys. We've got all different examples these days of guys going around, Asian guys, white guys, black guys, tall guys, guys who aren't tall, guys who are jacked, guys who are not jacked, guys who've got money, guys who don't have money, guys who are young, guys who are older. We just have so many examples now of guys who are just getting success in daytime approach. Like daytime approach also, it's not the easiest vector to get success either. Like it's doable, but it's a more demanding vector. So we've got so many examples of that now. We just know for a fact that all of the stuff that's being promoted for the last 5-6 years is total fucking bullshit. It's like, guys like completely psyching themselves out. And also, by the way, to start judging other men on their looks and their height, and it's homosexual. it's how a gay guy, like, when I look at a guy, I'm just like, yeah, it's a guy. I'm not thinking anything. It's literally how a woman or a gay guy would judge a man. It's fucking weird. I mean, like, sometimes I'll say things to clients to encourage them to be like, yeah, you know, you look good. Yeah. But it's not how men should be judging each other, dude. I would judge guys on, like, what's their vibe? Are they cool? What are their capacities like? You know, are they actually going to be an asset? Can we hang out together? That's a normal way to judge other guys, man. Really fucking strange. Really weird. Actually, quite often I'm surprised when never what you're thinking. It's the complete opposite often to what is reported in the Manosphere. So, yeah, and it's like, I look at the guys, I'm like, really, you think he's attractive? That's so interesting, so weird, but anyway, whatever. So, yeah, you have these guys with their entire channels and they're rating other men on their looks. I do have to wonder, this is some kind of a closet. There's something going on there, dude. Something weird about that. That's actually not normal psychology. It's very womanish, you know, like, women do that to each other. Nah, it's just fucking weird, dude. So yeah, so the looks maxing spokes, the money maxing spokes, let's just quickly get on to them. Money is useful for relationships. Money is a way for you to actually have a family if you want to have that traditional thing. So it's definitely relevant to that. It's somewhat relevant to dating. You need money to get the girl to Uber. You need money to go for drinks. So it's somewhat relevant to that. If you can't spend 50 quid, it's an issue you need to sort out urgently. But having said that, there are guys out here who have absolutely, I live in the Dominican Republic, there are guys out here, they don't only get girls, they get extremely hot chicks here. And literally, they bought a motorbike with like their mum's fucking blunt, brutal confidence, and the women respond to it. Yeah, it's kind of like the tribes that used to live on this island, they never really left. Like, they just have that blunt self-belief, because they don't see any reason not to believe in themselves. There's nothing in the culture telling them they need to be money, look, status, right? And honestly, some of these girls, man, they're fucking... The looks maxers would literally just look like a bunch of autistic freaks. They were just stood on the side watching what's going on here. They were just like total freaks, to be honest, which is actually what they are. So you've got the internet being led by these extreme freaks. But yeah, on the money side of things, in terms of the actual sexuality, it doesn't make that much difference, man. It doesn't make that much difference. The same girl that you're taking out, honestly, she might have fucked a guy who's like borderline homeless. Like, not but it's true. Not much of a correlation between a girl's vagina getting wet and your bank balance. It's not much of a correlation. I'm gonna move on because there's that noise over there. So yeah, the money situation is mostly for family, and then just maybe living a bit more of a nice lifestyle when you've got an actual girlfriend. Yeah, that's really where the money thing comes in. It does for sexuality. I mean, I remember when I was dating a girl in Sheffield, who was this girl, she was a, and I swear to God, I was so broke, I was going out with bags of pound coins that I'd found. I don't know, I think it was after I'd had my operation, I was running out of money. And I found these like bags of like pound coins, had like 20 quid in them. And I must have had about 200 quid's worth of those pound coins. From God knows when or where, I can't even remember how I got them, or why I got them. But I was literally going out and I'm literally like, I'm down to like my last 40 quid. So I'm going out with this girl and I'm taking pound coins out of this bag to fucking buy a Nando's or something, right? And that was like the level of brokery back then. She's one of the hot. She was the hottest girl I'd banged to that point, and I was literally broke at that stage. So the correlation just isn't really there. It's just not really there. It's why here as well, like in the DR, I'm a little bit cautious as well with girls, like in terms of, you know, I do want to find out a decent amount about their background before I'll commit to them. Because like, if they got children and stuff, I'm like, you may have conceived a child getting banged in like a Toyota or something, which again, he probably got with his mum's pension. So you've conceived a child with these other guys, like a lot of single mums, or like on the back of a motorbike or something, or like literally almost in a favela-like situation. I'm not just gonna fucking I'm not just gonna cast my life in with you. So yeah, that's the money side of things. It's not that relevant. It's funny, there's stuff they don't talk about, which is sexual domination, which is much more relevant to it. It is the foundational cornerstone to some extent of relationships. It's like psychological domination, sexual domination. That really is a cornerstone to most relationships. If you don't believe me, like look how many women are making shit decisions, like by the money look status thing, right? Look at how many women are just making weird decisions where they're going out with guys. If they've got a lot of female hormones like here, they're going out with guys like on, case in point, guys on motorbikes. That's why they all fucking ride bikes here. Because they know the chicks get off on it. I always remember living next door to this girl. She was like super fucking fit in one of the villages near here. And I think I said hello to her or something. I was thinking, oh, maybe I could talk to her one day or whatever. And then I see one day she's going out to, she goes out to meet a date. The guy just pulls up like on his bike. He just beeps, right? Just calls her down, right? Yeah, this girl's like, if she was in the UK, if she was in Europe, she would be like solid 9, which means professionally hot. Fucking hell, what is going on here? So yeah, he just kind of beeps, calls her down. She just gets on the back of his bike. I'm like, all these guys talking about building rapport. This is the thing, is even stuff like building rapport, you don't know how gay that actually fucking is. Oh, let me build rapport. It's not a fucking sales call. You are actually joking. You have to be joking. Is this some kind of modeling thing? This is my life, right? I'm gonna go and speak to some of these chicks. Let's go speak to this guy here. They're mostly blacks actually. Hey, it's not the mulattoes. Permiso. No quiero interrumpir, pero eso es una cosa, en desfile de modelos, algo así. ¿Y van a hacer una sesión de fotos o es como una exposición? No, estoy curioso. Estoy haciendo un streaming ahora, estoy curioso. Okay, cool. Gracias. So yeah, let me just this is like, right. We'll talk about fitness. Let's just do a little. What the hell is going on? Yeah, here we go. This is a bonus, boys. Let's have a look here. You see that? It's like a catwalk thing. I can't even be bothered to deal with that. That is this country in a nutshell. Essentially, I walk out my door, what are they doing? They're just under some trees. It's good to know that though, because they'll be peeling off in a couple of hours. So there'll be a couple of them on the strip later on. But yeah, even the stuff about building rapport, you know, I'll talk about some of these things now. Building rapport and frame. you don't, like, I'm illustrating that girl there who's like, the guy's just beeping at her, right? Why are you building rapport? It's not a sales call. That's still coming from the frame of, I don't have enough, I'm not enough. I need to do something, I need to be a performing gigolo to get your attention. It's not how it works, man. You approach her like you've already fucked her, and you deal with her like you've already fucked her. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. The performing shit, I don't get me wrong, the performing shit can work, but just because she already likes you. Basically, that's kind of what it is. But it can be quite inefficient as well. And there are definitely girls who utterly hate guys like that as well. And they only go with guys who almost like nonchalant, like pure nonchalant arrogance. So, yeah, that's a fine line, because I like to have a lot of fun in sets, but it's definitely a fine line between, you don't want to be performing and you don't want to be doing it to take a girl through a fucking stupid ass sales process, right? I mean, if you've got like if you don't understand, if you struggle with human interaction, maybe do it, like maybe have those phases, but for a normal guy, you don't want to be doing that. So yeah, so the building rapport thing. What about breaking rapport? Start breaking rapport. The last girl from the infields a couple of weeks ago, my starting first minute was just like, yeah, I don't really like single mums. Well, she's a single mum. So it's complete breaking rapport, right? She actually turned out to be awesome, but I don't know why I just said it in that moment, right? So breaking rapport can, yeah. It's essentially if you're happy to be disagreeable, and that's actually your personality, don't try and fake it. The other one is frame as well. This was in a thing some of the guys talk about in my mastermind. How long we've been on for? What's that? Coming up to an hour. Yeah, I'll wind it up soon. So some of the guys in the mastermind talk about frame a lot, and basically all these concepts that guys have, they're living in a conceptual world. They're not actually living in the real organic world of just, there's a woman in front of me, man, woman, yes, look, eyes, body. They're not living in that world. They're living in, okay, I need to stack value, right? I need to do X, Y, Z. I need to get more investment. Right now, I need to hold the frame and all of this. It's just bullshit that people have learned on the internet. Do you think Donald Trump is like, when he's macking his whatever, he's actually a good example. He's got his like Slavic fucking supermodel, right? He's not thinking about like, I've got the frame, I'm stacking value. He obviously already knows, like, he's the big dog in New York. He already knows, right? But it's funny because you can say, oh yeah, it's Donald Trump. Yeah, it is. But look at all the other politicians, look at their wives. Yeah, I mean, for fuck's sakes, look at Macron. Yeah, Obama, like, Jesus Christ. So it doesn't follow that just because you're a big dog, like politically or whatever, you're gonna have the best wife. A lot of these guys, they still don't. But yeah, the whole frame thing, it can get you into this weird mindset where you're thinking of concepts and you're thinking of this, that, and the other, instead of just looking at the girl in front of you and just kind of not thinking anything, you know. Could I just pull her, basically? That's boys, you gotta get yourselves out of here, man. What are you boys wasting your time for in fucking Europe? It's ridiculous. So yeah, just to finish with this frame thing, it's not what people think it is. It's a good general principle. You don't want to let a girl boss you around and you want to show leadership, but you don't want to become obsessed with these ideas. You're not interacting with an idea, you're interacting with a chick. So there's cases where the woman just has a better idea than you've had and you go, yeah, let's do that. Yep. Or the girl has a genuine objection. It's not a frame control thing. It's like, bro, she doesn't fucking know you. Yeah, you spoke to her like. Gracias, gracias. You met her 3 minutes ago. It's not an objection. She doesn't fucking know you. Sometimes I do wonder what is going through people's heads. So just don't take that whole frame thing too seriously. Like it's a good general guideline, but also just think about logically. This is the last thing I'll say as well. One of the biggest thing I see with like under 30s guys, they don't understand female safety. It is almost retard level, to be honest. Like, they don't understand that a woman weighs fuck all and she's physically weak, and any guy pretty much could end her life within 20 seconds. Anyone, right? I mean, in the West, they don't feel that as much until they go somewhere with a hint of danger, and the instinct will kick in right away, immediately, right? So as a guy who's a romantic partner, you are responsible for the girl's safety when she's with you and when she's kind of around you. Just trust me, just fucking start acting in a way that just shows a bit of responsibility. I'll call you the Uber. Message me when you get home, yeah? It's never going to be held against you. It's never going to be held against you. And a lot of girls, like, even if they don't quite understand it, they don't even understand what you're doing. At like a later date, it kicks in. It kicks in at a later date. That's the basic one. It's as important as leadership. It's just understanding their inherent vulnerability physically. Yeah? It doesn't mean you need to be a pussy or let them whatever, but just understanding they're inherently physically vulnerable. I never see this discussed in the Manosphere at all. This is real basic. This is the type of shit that your dad should have taught you when you were 12, when you went on your first date. Right, make sure you take the girl back to her house, yeah? Drop her off at her mum's house, yeah? Because, you know, you can't just leave her on the street corner. Or just wait till she gets on the bus, right? And then you can come home. Literally, it should have been told to you. It was told to me when I was like 12. Yeah. And it's fucking obvious. And it's easy as well. It's an easy fix. It's an easy fix, that one. Yeah, but again, this is from liberalism, isn't it? It's from they think they're equality. What are they going to do? If two Moroccan guys, let's say the guy there was a friend from my mastermind. He's not in it anymore, but he had an issue in Barcelona when a girl said to him, like, basically, the fact I got off the tube and you just didn't message me, that's a red flag. And he didn't get it. And the younger guys didn't get it. And I was like, dude, it's a major red flag. It's literally about as big a red flag as you can fucking give. Because she's walking through some dodgy part of Barcelona. What is she going to do if two Moroccan guys come out with no weapons, who are 5'6", skinny 5'6"? What is she going to do? And the answer is fucking nothing. There is nothing she can do, and they can do whatever they want with her. Yeah? Just two 5'6", skinny Moroccan guys who are not black belts in fucking jiu-jitsu or anything. Just normal guys. The answer is she can't really do anything. Yeah. Even like I date a lot of girls who are over the years who are like almost freak athlete level. Like they're usually around about my height and like extremely athletic. The girls are like way stronger than your average girl. It would be the equivalent of like a guy who was like maybe he's not the NFL, but he's like the captain of the high school football team or something like that. They're that type of equivalent. I find those types of girls extremely hot. And they're still afraid of walking home alone. They still know, they can be robbed by a guy, they can be beaten up by a guy, easily. And these are girls who are way stronger than average, way stronger. I think about one of my exes. She was freak strength, man, that girl. She got robbed in Paris with her friend, and they just like these guys. She got robbed in Paris and also in Sheffield as well. Just walking around. She's not the most obvious target to rob either, actually. Weird that they went for her. She could do. She tried to fight them off, but she could just do fuck all, basically. She couldn't do anything. The power is not there, right, in a woman. So as a guy, you just need to bear that in mind. Physically, on an instinctive level, they're always vulnerable. So that's the part of being a gentleman that is like, it's always going to be relevant. Until we have women with like the tendon strength of men and all that. Man, there's a lot of noise today. I'm gonna go back this way. That's always going to be relevant. So hopefully that's like, you know, I get a bit exasperated on some of these points because it's just like, I struggle to believe that guys don't know this stuff, but fair enough, if you don't know it, you don't know it. It's not your fault. Again, it's liberalism, it's your fucking feminist mom not telling you these basics, right? So start to wind things down, boys. Was there anything else on this one? Myths of the Manosphere. We've covered quite a bit here today. The issue is, it's not just for me to sound off about these things. The issue is, if you've got the wrong, think of like women and business. It's similar, right? If you're operating on a misapprehension, you're operating on incorrect assumptions, you are going to fail. It's not like an essay where you can just argue any bullshit you want and you can succeed. Oh, well, you know, you really can actually. There are men who go out in high heels and they wear wigs and they, you know, they shave their fucking balls and like. And actually, this is what girls really like, you know, girls and modern girls. You can make that argument, right? And then you can just go into the real world and watch. You know, the Dominican guy on his fucking bike who hasn't shaved for like 3 days. You can watch these guys, or you can watch, you know, person XYZ completely destroy you in terms of what we're talking about now. It's not an essay, it's not theory. So that's the reason. That's the reason with this stuff. I do tend to be like. Quite fussy over what I accept as true or as something that's useful, because if something is not a useful paradigm, it actually doesn't map onto the world, and that's what you think, you fucked it, right? I've seen this with boomers who are like in their 60s and they're like talking to a woman or something, moaning to her, they're like, yeah, I treated her so good her whole life, and you know, and she never respected me. I'm like, yeah, dude. Because you didn't command respect. You didn't. Respect is taken. Yeah? It's not earned. Yeah. Really, in relationships, it's basically taken. You just assume it from the beginning. So, yeah, this weird clusterfuck of the manosphere and liberalism, it's really got guys' heads on a spin. And I had to make my way through some of this as well. But I can actually see with the rise of the internet and the manosphere, it's got a lot worse. It's, you know, you see my friend Raphael, right? We might bump into him now. I'll introduce you to him. He's 60, and he's pulling chicks, late 30s, every day. It's what he does. He just comes, here he is now. And he's a skinny, grey-haired Spanish guy, right? He's an absolute fucking legend. And, oh, there's another, yeah, we've got the two poles here, so this is where we do a lot of our work here. I won't go and interrupt his coffee. I'll go and see him in a second. Saludo. Vuelvo enseguida. But yeah, you've got guys. Yeah, I don't want to. You might not want to be on camera, to be fair. So you've got the different approaches to things. That guy is just utterly lethal, dude. Utterly lethal. To say he's never done any type of training, he's fucking hilarious, mate. He's absolutely hilarious. Maybe the best natural I've ever seen. Maybe. You know, in terms of street approach, he's the best. He's the best. He doesn't know what street approach is. He's just a fucking animal. But yeah, he's not some big macho guy. He was telling me a story the other day about how, but he understands the dark. So the last thing I'll finish on is the dark psychology of women. The dark, depraved psychology of women. This is actually where the manosphere doesn't go far enough. Mate, how depraved they actually are. You'd be amazed. Start messaging them all this depraved shit. Think of the most depraved shit you can think of, right? When a girl's obviously she's interested in you, push her sexually, right? Push her boundaries, and especially into the submission thing and all this type of thing, right? It's so fucked how I mean, look at the number one genre for young women, 18 to 24, like 16 to 24. What's the main genre they like? Serial killers, yeah? It's called hybristophilia, right? Female obsession with serial killers, right? Yeah, there's no male equivalent to that. It's like that whole genre is literally propped up by young women, right? It's fucking insane, dude. It's something even I like, honestly, with that younger bracket, sometimes I need to remember that. It's just like, oh yeah, dude, you might need to bring out the old psychopath mode a little bit more for these ones. Yeah, they do slightly adjust as they get older. Just walking through the streets here, but yeah, boys, you should come out to Santo Domingo. I'm going to be continuing to make lives, and I'll be doing some infields, more infields in the coming year. This year it was a bit of a, the way this channel's developed is like, first of all, I was just making any old video just because I wanted to make some videos. And actually it was in Bosnia where I decided, I was doing some really hard sessions in Bosnia, and I was like, I don't think there's probably anyone who's done what I've just done now, which is like go and do 10 approaches on a November's afternoon in central Sarajevo in the fucking snow. I literally don't think anyone has ever done that apart from me. I was like, okay, this is not a normal level of drive at this point. This is actually on a different level. So, and I got myself through some really hard sessions where it's like, I didn't know if I'd be able to do even a single approach, and I managed to get myself through 10, and I didn't feel good. Like, I felt horrible for most of it. Yeah, which is, yeah, it's not really the way to go. But yes, I'll be making, but that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna actually start talking about this stuff. Obviously, I think it's understandable. Some of the interpersonal stuff like male sexual dominance and stuff like that, like, it's kind of understandable. People are a little bit reluctant to get online and talk about that, so I was a little bit reluctant, but now I don't really care. Whatever. It's necessary. Guys need to get switched onto it. So the last thing I'll just finish on is just before I'm going to go meet Raphael, just made me think of it then, is leverage versus unleveraged approach. So this is a big issue we've got in amongst the guys who actually do cold approach at the moment. Is there's a lot of solo activity, and you can go it solo for like 6 months, a year. If you're as crazy as me, like borderline 2 years. At a certain point, it's just not sustainable. Not if you're doing it on a fairly frequent basis, right? So your first point of leverage is to get wings. Prioritize winging with other guys. It's very hard to do because it's just hard to find daytime approach wings, like extremely hard. I was thinking about what the monetary value of a wing is. Yeah, because obviously I'm called a wing bro. I'm like, there is a monetary value. It's quite high actually, for the right person. If they were looking for their wife, said, right, let's hit London, let's hit Barca, let's hit Belgrade, let's hit Santo Domingo over a 3-month period. That would be a pretty crazy offer. It actually has like quite a monetary value to it, but the general principle of just how valuable a good wing is, you can't underestimate that. So you should be trying to recruit wings whenever possible, or at the very least leading a fulfilling social life outside a cold approach. That's one form of leverage. The other form of leverage is your actual social circle as well, where you're a more of a known entity. The girls kind of know you before you approach them, before you talk to them. Your reputation precedes you. And once that's the case, really, like, you're kind of onto a winner there. You're onto a winner there. So that's a higher level. Some of the girls, like for example, I talked about the Miss Universe. I've also approached and closed an Olympic athlete in a supermarket. She's definitely one of my all-time favorites. It was like a full-on spectacle as well. And both those girls, I've seen, I'm still like connected to both of them, and both of them are with guys from their social circle. Because yeah, they actually really respond well to the high testosterone approach, because what makes a woman hot is her hormones. So they respond best to the highest testosterone guys. And doing cold approach, whatever your T level, it'll make it go up. Right, so they responded really well to it. Better than almost most approaches, right? But realistically, it wasn't enough, a 10-minute approach off the cuff, for them to say, he is my best option. He's my best option. I wasn't the best option. There were guys in a social circle who were attractive, who they might not have had the balls to the wall fucking outrageous maneuvers that I had to go and do cold approach, you know, in the middle of these, literally like in the middle of a mall in Brazil, another one in a supermarket in Santiago. It's a good move. But they're still good guys, and they still probably have balls in general. And they're more fundamentally, they're in that girl's social circle. So social circle is something you want to leverage. What I want to do really, I want to start bringing guys out here who want to actually live out here, and maybe set up like an international lifestyle where I've got, this is my fundamental base, but we can move from here to places like Colombia, Brazil, back over to Europe, Barcelona, Belgrade, start to actually run in more of a pack. And then what happens is, you're out, your friend's out, all of a sudden you're cracking into groups, and you're getting into groups. And before you know it, you can be running with like high society very, very quickly. Even out here now, I'm only a couple of meetings away. I'm connected to people now who are connected to the upper echelons of the Dominican society. I'm not personally connected to anyone, but I have connections who've been out here a lot longer than me who are. And those kind of echelon level girls, you know, go for it with cold approach, but just don't be surprised that if they go with a guy who's more in that community, right? Easier option. The last thing I'll finish on, this is just a point of interest. I've been informed recently by a few people that I think there's something interesting happening in the West, which I don't think is good in some of the European countries, which is, I've heard it a lot from Spain, which is the women are now so brainwashed. Some of the women, not all, obviously, but some of the women are so brainwashed by liberalism. They're actually kind of fundamentally afraid of men. They fundamentally see men as toxic. And they have these kind of ultimate beta male boyfriends. And we're talking attractive girls as well, like really attractive girls. They have these ultimate beta male boyfriends because he's safe, and it's almost like a pet, right? I've seen this with some girls as well. It's very unhealthy for a young girl, for a young woman to have that type of relationship. If they get to that point when they're like 30, it's understandable, right? It's very, very strange and dysgenic for them to have that at a very young age. Very strange. So yeah, it could be high time for the betas, you know. We could be going full circle, is that some of these European countries, the women have been so brainwashed, they even think the so-called alpha male, the critical thinker, the guy who's more dangerous, which actually is like often a prerequisite to actually being attractive, is being dangerous. They're actually so afraid of a guy like that, they can't even, they just prefer the herb man, the herbivore man, right? Instead of the carnivore. I've had this reported back from Spain from a few different people and in Madrid, and I think there probably is something to it. I think there's something to it. When I think of the average 25-year-old Spaniard, like 20 years ago when I was living there, they were like by far the alphas of Western Europe, by far, in terms of women. Like English guys are kind of alpha when it comes to like headbutting people in pubs and stuff like that, but in terms of like pickup, those guys were absolute animals, the Spanish. Seems like that particular guy, maybe they've been phased out, I don't know. I think of one of my old friends, what was his name? Oh, I forget the guy's name, but he was one of the first guys I really saw who was like miles better than me at pick. He was miles better than anyone I'd ever seen. He was just a fucking beast. Danny from Madrid. Yeah, used to be absolute fucking animals, dude. English girls were falling over themselves for Danny. So right, boys, I'll leave things there. I'm gonna go and join my friend for a coffee. Hopefully that's been useful. I tried to be comprehensive in these lives, so went through as much as I possibly could. Hopefully this will free you from some of the mental shackles that you've been operating under. And yeah, we'll leave things there for today, boys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Joseph, coming in from Santo Domingo. Have a great Sunday, guys.